Well, let's just go on to the most popular assault rifle in the world, AK-47.
Okay, AK-47, please.
It's even on like one of the flags.
It's actually on several flags.
Yeah.
Okay, the AK-47 is only the best known and the original model of a long series of firearms, a very large family. Originally, it was in 7.62 by 39, which I'll do a small thing on those rounds in a moment. But it has also been changed to several other rounds, including the NATO standard. Range is between 400 and 500 yards, depending on what round you're using. And also, most importantly, with the AK-47 and the whole accuracy thing, is who made it. If you get one of the ones that was stamped out in the middle of Africa, odds are you're not going to be able to hit anything past 100 yards. If you get like the Chinese Mac 90 or the Egyptian with the milled receiver, you can get some pretty impressive accuracy out to 300 yards. Original weight was 9.4 pounds because they had to mill the original receiver with very crude equipment. However, once they figured out how they could actually stamp the lower receiver out of metal, the weight dropped severely, and for the shorter barreled models, it can get as low as 5.9 pounds. The magazine standard is 30. However, the Russians experimented with some very unusual drum feeds, and even one that was a magazine that came down, looped up, and hooked on the end of the gun. Rate of fire is about 800 rounds per minute, which is pretty much your assault rifle standard. It was invented by a tank gunner. Mikhail Kalashnikov was blown out of his tank during the Russian counteroffensive against the Germans. While he was in the hospital, he designed the weapon. It was technically ready for production in 1946. However, it wasn't until 1947 that the Russian military adopted it and then gave it its title, the AK-47. Because of how many people have made this with such poor record, we really don't know how many were made, but we do know it is the most produced gun in history. The Arashi goes in the shell, several of them. Black. Now, a quick thing on the bullets. We have your original AK over here, the 7.62 by 39. What replaced it, the 5.45 by 39. The NATO standard 5.56 by 45, and the 308 Winchester, also known as the 7.62 by 51 NATO. The AK has actually been chambered for all four of these, as well as many, many other rounds. It all depends on who made it, when, where, and what they were wanting to do with it. You have the original AK-47 prototype over here, and over here we actually have the most modern AK-108, which has, if you notice this large box up here, is what's called a balanced action. It is a counterweight, that when this weapon fires, the counterweight shoots forward. Because the counterweight weighs the same as the bolt action, they counter each other's impact. So it reduces recoil by 20%. Yes, the gold AK-47, there's actually an interesting story behind this. I cannot find who created the original AK-47, but it is pretty assured that since at least the 70s, any dictator has had one of these, in one form or another. For some strange reason, dictators like these.
They like to think about their AK-47.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. Your mouse and I are not agreeing with you. Again, substitute of a substitute. Give me a break. Your mouse really hates me.
I have a question about
Yes?
as far as the design and manufacturing went with the Kalashnikov. I heard that he did it in tandem with another war vet who wasn't as well credited.
Yes, his welder friend, who is actually the one who figured out how to make the folded welded receiver, which helped him work through most of the production issues. In the long run, his name has been more or less forgotten, unfortunately.
One thing I guess very important about the AK-47, reason it's so popular and just so
it's reliability.
Yes, so reliable. The action is kind of loose, and so
it's very tolerant of dirt. And the big
and
reason of that comes from the fact that everything is stamped and folded. So that type of manufacturing, you have to leave plenty of space for error. That same space for error allows dirt and grime to just slide out of the way when the weapon works. The other thing that contributes to its famed reliability is that basically the bolt carrier that unlocks and opens the action is directly tied to a piston. that runs over the barrel and uses gas from the bullet firing to open and shut the weapon. A lot of guns these days actually use what are called short strokes, which is a little tiny piston that moves a very short distance and then stops and lets everything carry on its own momentum. They're not quite as reliable because they don't have that positive pressure the whole time.